Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy comedians and the comedy industry, which is an awkward sentence, one might say, if they were trying to retrain the Spotify transcription algorithm to rank their show higher. Things are quieting down as we get closer to the Christmas holiday. On late night, Jimmy Fallon said, I read that Donald Trump Jr. just got engaged. Yeah, President Trump was like, congrats, the third engagement's always the best. Jimmy Kimmel said Don Jr. was previously engaged to Kimberly Guilfoyle, but one of the many perks of your dad being president is he could just make your ex the ambassador to Greece and send her far, far away. The host also joked about the Trump Gold Card. Did you see this? It's an expedited visa for foreigners who pay $1 million or more. Jimmy Kimmel said the White House is also planning to offer a Trump Platinum Card, which is above the Gold Card, and a Storm the Capitol 1 card, which is a great joke. Johnny Mac is very immature and likes when comedians fight. The U.S. Sun reports Amy Schumer and her one-time best friend Nikki Glaser are having a secret feud. Well, I have news for them. Now that it's mentioned on this podcast, dozens of people will know about it. Sources say that Nikki Glaser has quietly distanced herself from Amy Schumer and that the two are no longer speaking. Oh no, what happened? A source tells the U.S. Sun, Amy and Nikki used to be attached at the hip, but you don't really see them together anymore. All of a sudden, Amy became very woke in the sense that you can't say anything in front of her without her getting offended. The insider added that the women no longer respect each other's style of comedy. Quote, they just don't like each other's stuff anymore. What is Amy doing comedy-wise now that is so far afield of what Nikki Glaser does? That's weird. Another source said they stopped being close because Amy got weird. The second source also claimed that Amy's other former dear friend Rachel Feinstein has also cut Amy out of her life. Wow, it's getting more and more interesting. Website The List has the headline, Amy Schumer's jokes about her Chris Fisher prenup have backfired miserably. The List says back in November 2021, Amy Schumer made no secret of the fact that having a famous chef for a husband really came in handy during the Thanksgiving season. Schumer was joking about why she married him. The List quotes Amy as telling Entertainment Tonight at the time, I can't lie, but he knows what's going on. Joking that Fisher's cooking skills were the reason that they got married. We have a prenup, but we don't need it. He's a chef. Yeah, that's it. No one's going anywhere. The List writes, jokes aside, Amy Schumer has made it perfectly clear in the past that there was genuine love at the center of her marriage to Chris Fisher. Quote, once he was diagnosed with autism, it dawned on me how funny it was because all the characteristics that made it clear that he's on the spectrum are all the reasons that I fell madly in love with him. The List points out, joking about your prenup is one thing, but doing so 7 years in on your anniversary is bound to prompt a raised eyebrow or two, and that's what Amy did in February of 2025 when she celebrated 7 years since she and Fisher tied the knot. She posted a photo from her wedding on Instagram stories, adding the caption, 7 years ago we signed a prenup and haven't had to utilize it. Love you, babe. 10 months later, they have announced their divorce. Anthony Jeselnik talked more about the Anthony Jeselnik Book Club. He wants it to be interactive and said, I don't know what kind of questions we're going to get because I've removed myself from the podcast scene. I'm still doing stand-up and going back on tour, but I think I might just be getting emails about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. That's okay, as long as people are reading the book. I might get no emails. I'm ready for no emails and just getting sadder and sadder as I go through. But I think people will want to hear what I have to say, and this is the only avenue, unless you buy a ticket to come see a show. I don't know, this could just last a year, but I'm giving it a shot. Vulture was curious, does Anthony miss podcasting? He said, I miss it a little bit. I still talk to Greg all the time. We've talked about bringing it back once the Super Bowl's over, but the idea of having that job, I mean, you've listened to the podcast, and by the end of the podcast, I was angry to be doing the podcast. I'd show up and catch up, walk in totally fine, hang out with the producer, and then the cameras would start rolling, and I'd be ticked. And I haven't followed the podcast world since I pulled the plug. I've tried to stay away from it. The subject turned to politics. Jeselnik said, I was disgusted, as most people were, with embracing the election. Those people were at the inauguration, and they now have to backtrack and say, this isn't what I voted for. It's just embarrassing, and I'm glad I don't have podcaster in my bio now. That's very important to me. These guys, even the most successful ones, seeing Theo Von tell people he's actively trying not to take his own life at the end of a comedy special was just gutting to me. And he's the most successful guy there is. What's the point of it if it leads you to that? That was a horrible moment to watch. And again, he's the most successful guy. Why are you doing this to yourselves? Why are you eating your own tail? I'm glad to be out of it. More from Robbie Hoffman being interviewed by John Mulaney in GQ. Robbie, one of 10 kids. They are all close in age, Mulaney said. So it wasn't like when people have 10 kids and one's 50 and one's 2. You guys were densely grouped. Hoffman said, yeah, I think we're in 12 and a half years if we did the math. Mulaney was curious who Robbie shared a room with. Hoffman said, I shared a room with multiple people. When I was younger, I shared with my older two sisters. I loved that. I thought they were sick. So cool. They thought differently. And then one day I got home from school. My whole bed was outside the room. I had a little pink bed, a little metal pink bed that I loved. I loved having my own bed, not part of a bunk bed because most people were in a bunk bed. And then one day my little bed was outside with all my stuff on it. And they were like, you're moving to the baby room, because I had sisters who were also a few years younger than me. And I was like, why do I have to move? And they were like, we're sick of you, because they were older girls at that point. So they got together and they kicked me out. When I went to my mother about it, she said, well, that's it. They kicked you out. Mulaney was curious. Okay, so you were the oldest in the other room. How'd that go? Robbie said, I was too bossy. The power went to my head pretty early. I was always taking tape and making my own space and setting the tone of the room. Jerry Seinfeld jumped on Instagram to share his thoughts on the tragedy in Australia. Jerry wrote, I am devastated for the Jewish community in Sydney. A massacre at a Hanukkah celebration in Australia is unfortunately not a case of isolated anti-Semitism. It's inspired by other acts of violence against Jewish people and designed to inspire more. Let's instead be inspired by the hero who refused to be a witness, a model for us all. He was referring to Ahmed el-Ahmed, a 43-year-old man of Syrian descent. That is the guy, if you've seen the video, that jumped on one of the gunmen. Jerry also posted an image of a Star of David on a black background, along with a screenshot of an article from the Times of Israel with the headline, A Genuine Hero, Unarmed Muslim Bystander, Filmed Disarming Sydney Terrorist. Sacha Baron Cohen also went on Instagram. He shared a photo of a mother holding her child among first responders. Baron Cohen wrote, Hanukkah 2025, Bondi Beach. It could be your family, your child. No one should die because of their faith. May their memory be a blessing and a light toward tolerance and peace. Hashtag Stop the Hate. If you're listening on Spotify, follow Daily Comedy News so it shows up in your feed every morning. That's the kind of sentence somebody trying to goose the algorithm would say. Ralphie May, new special of sorts. I'll read this verbatim. Content monetization company Comedy Genius launched a dedicated website allowing comedians to sell content directly to fans so they can best control their material and its delivery. At least we're not trying to hide it here. We're just blatantly going, we're a content monetization company. The chief operations officer said, we're excited to be able to offer a new level of transparency to content creators, giving them true visibility into their performance and earnings in an industry that historically lacked accountability. Anyway, for the Ralphie May part, and I miss Ralphie. Ralphie was a great guy. I miss Ralphie. I think of him this time of year when I was at SiriusXM. He would send me a Christmas gift every year. Just a really classy guy. Got to hang out with him a few times. I remember one time in L.A. We got his car detailed. We went for Mexican food. What a blast. What a cool person. Anyway, Comedy Genius continues to re-edit and relaunch archive footage through weekly rollouts. They've used clips to honor Ralphie May through the special Love You, Ralphie, the clips from the year before his passing. Comedian Diane Morgan, you Americans might know her as Philomena Kunk from the various Kunk specials on Netflix. She's become a patron for a Welsh cat rescue charity. Diane contacted Moggy's Cat Rescue after her friend rescued a cat from them earlier this year. The rescue was founded 12 years ago by Eileen and Doreen. After they had retired, last year it became a registered charity. They hope through the help of their volunteers and now their new patron Diane, they'll be able to raise awareness of the work that the charity does to rehome cats in southern Wales. The New Yorker caught up with Kumail Nanjiani. Now he's got a special out on Hulu tomorrow and a lot of good press about it. The people that have seen the special, who I guess the Hulu publicist will get back to and hook up with screeners, they all seem to like it. I can't tell you if it's good or not. Hulu doesn't want me to let you know. So we'll all watch it together this weekend anyway. Kumail recently lost his cat 3 months ago. Her name was Bagel. She was 17. Nanjiani said, that's the saddest I've ever been in my whole life. They were having this conversation at a Lower East Side cat cafe called Meow Parlor. Keeping Nanjiani company was a tortoiseshell kitten named Honeybee, a golden striped sloped down nose. Kumail said, oh my God, look how pretty that is. Nanjiani and his wife Emily have recently adopted a kitten named Biscuit. He says Bagel was always his dignified cat, and this cat has no dignity. It's a bit of a dumbass. Jimmy Carr and the Louis Theroux podcast shared a take that Dave Chappelle had on cancel culture that goes something like this. The joke that makes you roll around laughing and you can't wait to tell your friends, and the joke that offends you and you think is disgusting, come from the same place. We're trying to make you laugh, trying to lighten the load of life. We're paid for the attempt, like Evel Knievel. We're paid for the attempt. We're not paid for the joke. Sometimes swing and a miss. Sometimes it offends. And I'll leave you with this today. This has nothing to do with comedy, but Gil Gerard, you may know him as Buck Rogers, passed away. He left us a posthumous message, which says, my life has been an amazing journey, The opportunities I've had, the people I've met, and the love I've given and received have made my 82 years on the planet deeply satisfying. Don't waste your time on anything that doesn't thrill you or bring you love. See you out somewhere in the cosmos. That's your comedy news for today. See you tomorrow.